Welcome back to another video, pilots. Just a heads up, this video is all speculation, since we do not have the game in our hands. Do not take any of my theories or any others as fact. We won't know anything concrete until launch. Anyways, today we will be taking a deep dive into the character we know only as the Harbinger. We'll be taking a look at what she could possibly be, what her motives might be, and why her race is only just now showing up. On Monday, 343 released a campaign overview video, which I covered here. In my breakdown of the overview, I mentioned how the Harbinger could possibly be a prelate. If you don't know what a prelate is, it is a genetically modified Sanshayun, aka prophet. This is not correct, and we know for a fact that it's not a prelate. First off, I did not notice she has mandibles and a visible face. It's really hard to tell even when looking at the 4K footage, but it's definitely there. We also received solid confirmation from 343 themselves in one of Grimm's cannon fodders. And speaking of unknowns, we also got our first look at the Harbinger. We don't have a lot to say about this curious character at the moment, but I will give you this. They're definitely not a prelate. With that correction out of the way, let's move into speculating about what she could be. I have a few ideas in mind, and I'll tell them in order of the most plausible to the more outlandish. The easiest to digest, and probably the best for newcomers to the series that will come with the game, the Harbinger species is probably entirely new, and is not tied to any extended universe lore. Possibly an enslaved race to the Forerunners at some point. While not being the most fun to speculate about, it makes the most sense from a development standpoint. Next is the theory that the Harbinger is not a naturally born being, but an artificially created one. Similar to the Huragok, aka engineers, she might belong to a race made by the Forerunners. While there is nothing visually that points to this, the fact that we have only ever seen one of her species on a ring is a possible link. Her race might have possibly been created as either a way to fight ancient humanity or the Flood, without expending Forerunner lives. She also has a hatred for the Forerunners. Perhaps she is old enough to know about the Precursor and Forerunner conflict, or simply she saw her species face its doom against the Flood or humanity. I've seen some people online say that the Harbinger could also be a female of whatever species the Skimmers are. Sexual dimorphism of this scale is possible and was even attempted with female Sangheili at some point. Ugh. The Harbinger and Skimmers do have similar looking feet, and both seem to have insectoid characteristics. Both have only just been seen on this ring, and they have similar armor or skin. But this could just be a stylistic coincidence. While I personally believe Skimmers to be a subspecies of drone, I would not mind this theory being true. The Harbinger could be from a species that also wanted to contend with humanity and Forerunners for the mantle. Perhaps, just like Forerunners tried to do with humanity, they attempted to wipe out her species in order to prevent it from happening. With what seems like a success, since we only see her as the lone member of her species, maybe this success is what led Forerunners into thinking they could repeat it with humanity. Earlier, I had mentioned that the Harbinger might know of the Precursors, but what if she is one? While Precursors have no defined form according to the Gravemind, there are a few times we have seen them. One even has a similar head shape to the Harbinger, with it fanning out like that. I honestly don't believe this theory at all, but I do think there is a chance for her to be connected to the Precursors in some way. Possibly made using a synthetic method like I mentioned earlier, but with some Precursor dust sprinkled in. Now let's talk about her motive. Why does the Harbinger hate the Forerunners and their lies? Why did she choose to side with the Banished? Is she really fighting for the will of Atriox, or is she using the Banished for her own goals? The Harbinger was actually mentioned last year in the 2020 campaign gameplay reveal. During Eshram's speech, at the end, he says,
"The Harbinger and the Banished share the same goal. We fight together to honor the will of Atriox."
This confirms that these two are on the same side, at least at the time of his speech. So if their motives are truly aligned, what does the Banished want? Well, currently the Banished want to eradicate humanity, something that was not always the case. Under Atriox, any race could join the Banished, even humans. Now under Eshram, humanity can no longer be an ally. only an enemy to eradicate. We can see that the Harbinger does at least have some sort of negative view towards humans. In the trailer, she says,
I am the Harbinger of the truth. You are not the future.
So it is possible Eshram is referring to their desire to wipe humans out of existence. I'd also like to mention that the subtitles for the trailer have the words truth in capital letters here. While likely just personifying truth as an idea literally, I can't help but go conspiracy theory mode and think, did truth really become a god?
My feet tread the path. I shall become a god.
And now has a strong warrior under his control? Too much? Since she says that the Forerunner's lives are at an end, I personally don't think that she knows of any living Forerunner. There is at least one still out there, but I don't know enough about that information to explain it properly. Instead, I think she's referring to the mantle. Maybe the mantle of responsibility is not what it seems. Perhaps it's the Forerunner's version of the Covenant and their idea of the Halo rings leading to ascendance. History does tend to repeat itself, even in Halo. Finally, why is she seemingly the only one? Where is the rest of her species? If she is a Skimmer, why is there only one of her? Personally, I believe no matter what she is, the Forerunners imprisoned her and likely killed off the rest of her kind. But all we have to go off of is this trailer and the fact she seems to be floating inside some kind of containment-like room. Forerunners were ruthless beings when it came to how they treated others. It's not far-fetched to assume this. I also wonder if the Harbinger has ever had contact with Mendicant Bias or the Primordial, who are also both on this ring. I guess we'll find out when the game releases and if any novels dive into her backstory. This is my first lore-heavy video, and I'm sure I have misinterpreted something in the lore, but I'll hopefully get more accurate in my telling of the world and its stories as time goes on. I'm no lore master, but I do heavily enjoy it. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you want to see more content like this, make sure to hit subscribe and to like the video. It really helps the channel out. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you next time. Peace.